Kevin here. I'm in Tucson visiting my parents, checking up on them. I'm going for my morning walk. It's about 10 a.m. I really should get out earlier, but even though I was up at 6:30, it takes me this long to get it together and get out the door, get everybody what they need. So I've taken the opportunity to interview my dad. He has a terminal disease, and my mother's struggling too, but I thought I'd interview him and get his perspective on the sort of end of life phase. Maybe others can relate to what we're going through. But it's beautiful down here. It's sunny and hot. It's going to be in the 90s again, upper 90s. My wife Marie's down here with me. She's a nurse, and that really helps, especially with my folks' medical issues. And we're able to divide and conquer, so she'll drive my mom to appointments. I'll stay home and help my dad where he needs help. He does have help that comes in, so that's good. Anyways, my walk's about 45 minutes to an hour. In this heat, it's a good walk. But yeah, gorgeous here. Well, it's my parents' house. They call it the palm tree house in the neighborhood because it's one of the only houses with a palm tree in front. Everybody else has cactuses or something, cacti. All right, I'm interviewing my dad, Mike.
Okay.
First off, tell us about your disease. When were you diagnosed, and what is it?
I have pulmonary fibrosis. It's kind of a rare disease. There's about 200 causes that they know of that can cause it. It's a scarring of the lungs, which cuts down the amount of oxygen you get into your blood cells to carry to your vital organs, especially your heart, which distributes it to all the other organs. I was diagnosed about 11 years ago. It's progressive disease. Normally you don't live for 5 years after a diagnosis. So I've been very lucky to live as long as I have. I guess it's lucky, but I've been able to enjoy life and friends and family, especially my family, and other things for a lot longer. I've had good doctors, but it's pulmonary fibrosis. They don't know what caused mine, so they call it idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. What I've learned is that when the medicine folks don't know what something is or what causes it, they add the word idiopathic to it. So I have idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Interesting. You learn a lot of things when you get sick. So there is no cure for it. And once your lungs scar, they don't unscar. A scar doesn't go away. That's part of the problem. So they can slow down. I'm taking medicine that's supposed to plateau me or slow down the progression, but it's, in one placebo test, it was 23% effective. In the other, it was no difference. So it's kind of unknown and marginal whether the medication I'm taking is even helping. So that's kind of where I'm at with my disease. Right now I'm to the point where I'm on oxygen 24/7 in a fairly high dose, 8.5 to 9 liters, which is pretty high. It's higher than the portables, unless you take a tank of pure oxygen with you, which I can do, but it's hard for me to travel. I can only walk 1 or 2 steps at a time. I use a scooter to get around the house, which helps a lot. I'm very fortunate to have long-term care insurance and have help come in. We've had some real good help through the years, through the last 3 years anyway. And right now we've got some excellent help here, which helps a lot. Just the little things like picking things up or cleaning things for us, or helping with a meal, or taking your plate away, stuff like that, bringing you things and so forth. So we're lucky to have that long-term care insurance because it's all paid for. Anyway, and our kids, Carrie and Kevin, they come down every other month on their own. It's just been a real blessing to have them here for a week at a time every month, because Carol's been sick too at the same time. So it's kind of like a double whammy here. She's a lot more agile than I am. She gets around on her own, but she's kind of limited now too. She can't drive anymore. I never leave the house. I just go between the bedroom and the den, and in the den I sit in a chair all day and just do puzzles or watch TV or read.
Or talk on the phone.
Or talk to people on the phone.
It gets tiring, right? You can
Yeah.
only do that for so long.
You get tired of a lot of things. Well, and you do research on things, like you look up things that you're interested in. But I'm pretty limited to what I can't do.
Yeah, we were just saying that your
Well,
iPad was your portal to the world,
exactly.
and you're able to order things and do
Yeah.
research and
My internet's on there.
look up crossword, look up crossword puzzle
I can
answers.
look up. I can
Hey, Siri.
research crossword puzzles. Crossword without. Anyway, yeah, life is good. Life is always good. It's always good to be around family and friends and learn what they're doing, and you live through others, and you enjoy watching your kids do well, and it just brings a lot of joy to you in life.
So today's project was to fix these little lights down here along the trail. There were a couple that were out. I spent the prerequisite 3 hours in the heat trying to figure out what was going wrong, using the fluke meter, multimeter, and digging up the gravel, looking at the lines, recrimping some wires. And eventually, I got to the last light. It's always the last light. went to take that measurement, unscrewed it, cleaned it out, and then all the rest started working. So I just called it good and put it back together. And hopefully they'll come on tonight. We'll see. I'll film it if they do. It's the little things like the lights, getting those repaired, that really keep my dad happy. He really wants to know that his house is well maintained. He can't do the little things, he can't do the big things. And I feel blessed that I can be here and help him repair those things, make him feel good about himself and his place. Taking it for a cruise. Yeah. Just topped off the batteries with water. Got to run this thing. Get the tires round again, you know. Do the maintenance around the house. Just fix the lights. Got them all working again, the little walkway lights. Howdy, we're here in Tucson, going shopping for the folks. Just got through going to Costco. It's 108 degrees out per the car's thermostat. Here, I'll tilt it as you can see. Anyways, getting some detergent now that they didn't have at Costco. Next stop, Starbucks for the folks. You know, I might even get one this time. I will think about it. Yep, typical Arizona. One wheel on the curb, others on the ground. It's a breakfast casserole I make every time we come down. Everybody loves it. Lasts a couple days. So my job when I come down here is to touch up the corners. You don't see anything because I touched them up. Whoa. I'm not careful. I'm gonna have to do some more touch up. Yes, see the excellent repair job. You know, that is a lot of fun. That is a load of fun. All right, back in one piece, and I gotta turn that off. So you lived about 2-3 times longer than the normal diagnosis.
Yes.
What do you attribute to that longevity?
Well, I think the number one, having a strong heart. Since my mid 40s, actually since my mid 30s, I started doing aerobics based on a doctor's suggestion. He thought I had a very weak heart. So I've been doing 30-minute aerobic exercise 3 to 5 days a week for the rest of my life. Until now, I can't do aerobics anymore. Actually, the last few years I haven't been able, probably the last 7 years I haven't been able to do aerobic exercises. Maybe, well, less than that, maybe if I should frame that to maybe 5 or 6 years. Anyway, close enough. That's helped a lot. Plus, just living a better, healthy lifestyle and having a good family life and being active, being able to do active things like play golf, to do yard work, to fix things around the house, to help with the house. I've had to learn a lot of new things since retirement. I had to learn how to cook better. I learned how to do laundry. The thing is, which us guys don't think of very much, but most of our lives, our wives take care of us. They do our laundry, they fix our meals for us all the time, or quite a bit, and which I did occasionally fix a meal, but I'm not really get in to cook things and make new dishes and stuff. But since retirement, I felt, and in talking it through with Carol on how we were going to operate when we retired, I knew that I had to do some of that stuff, or she couldn't retire, because that was what she was doing all the time while I was working. Plus, she'd work once in a while too. So, and I've learned that I enjoy cooking now, and I don't mind doing laundry. But right now, I'm in a situation where I can't do either. Mm-hmm. So, full circle again. But for many years, 20 years of our retirement, I was able to contribute in those areas, and yeah, I felt good about it because I did I give Carol a week off from cooking or doing laundry. We would trade off weeks. So, and it's hard. It's hard to plan meals for a week at a time.
Oh, so you actually did swap every other week?
We did for a while.
Okay, because I remember you doing all of it since retirement.
And then we started kind of every other day, or we traded off. So, but anyway, we figured it out, and so we both had fairly good retirement. Anyway, I felt good about it, and since retirement, I've been able to do other things. I've been able to volunteer tutoring at the schools and helping out with a kids' closet charity and other things that has really been rewarding to me personally.
Yeah, you retired about 25 years ago. If I get the math about right.
Right, it's about right.
But then you flunked retirement about 9 years in a row.
11 times, yeah. Flunked retirement 11 times.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you ever regret going back to work after retirement?
No, the one thing I missed in retirement was working with people.
Yeah.
Being associated with things. Having a task that needed to be done, or something that needed to be done to help somebody else. You just didn't have those opportunities in just plain retirement. So in my case, I was happy to go back to work, and I could associate with other people, and I could see the results of my efforts.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to stay.
Yeah.
I always had a place to go.
I feel like the last couple times you did that, and you were a city administrator,
City manager.
City manager, okay, city manager. You seemed pretty tired by the end of the run.
The last job I shouldn't have taken.
Yeah,
I took one too many jobs.
yeah. But did you do the kids' closet while you were working?
Mm,
Was that
in
after
between
you?
jobs I did it one
Oh,
time.
you did, okay. Yeah, I mean, you really enjoyed that. I could see that
Yes,
when
I
we went
did.
up there.
And I was, and I tutored while I was still working.
That's right. This is the view from my dad's chair. Basically what it looks at from 7:30 in the morning till about 11:30 at night. Pump here is a source of endless work. We're always adjusting that stupid float there in blue. We're redoing the mesh over it. It just never ends. Got so hot, the needle spun right off of that sucker. Alright, my dad used to do stained glass. He used to do the soldering and cutting the glass. And I don't think he used a soldering mask. And maybe that contributed to his pulmonary fibrosis. We may never know. Oops. There's my buddy. Hey, pal. Do some push-ups there. It's weird you guys do leg ups too. You do push-ups, you do leg ups. Can you like do a little action here? I seem to know I'm not going to hurt him. I'm having a confab. Right, this is my wife Marie. She planted these pots so that my dad can look at them through the window. She planted thrillers, fillers, and spillers, but apparently spillers don't do well out here because the pots get too hot, and as they spill, they get burned. All right, Marie, what's the thriller in this pot?
Okay, so the thriller is probably the gladiola bulbs here that I planted that I wasn't sure if they'd come up. I just popped them in there and here they are. So here they are right here. Beautiful pink gladiolas blooming in Arizona like crazy. Nice, they have nice firm stalks and these gorgeous leaves, just beautiful and green. And they're just amazing. And here comes another one right over here that's gonna bloom out. So, and I mean, there's just more in here. They'll just keep blooming like crazy. And then we have the purple rain grass in the middle. So it's kind of a red grass that comes off of the green, and then it has these absolutely beautiful, kind of like pussy willow type plumes, and they're just like soft like a puppy. They're just gorgeous.
But are they a thriller?
These are more of a filler. These are the thrillers. These are the fillers. And they've just really worked well in here. And then we have more fillers in the front. Dusty Miller for color. And then for the pink color, there's all this beautiful vinca, different type of vinca down here in Arizona, more upright. And it's this gorgeous fuchsia pink. So yeah, these are just gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful.
Any regrets?
Yes. I regret that I can't do more.
Yeah.
And I regret that when I was younger, I didn't spend more time with the family. I was gone too much. I worked too many hours, and I spent too much time playing. So anyway, but mostly worked. I was working all the time. And then I went to school for 4 years, and that was I hardly ever saw the family or was able to spend much time with them, although I was home. I was home, I was working, and I was going to school.
Yeah, you did a lot. Yeah,
And I was studying at the same time and still trying to maintain a household and everything. So it was hard on the family, and Carol really held things together, and our kids were really good about it. They really helped me. They really understand what was going on, I think. And I was always been so proud of my family. Lucky.
And what was your biggest challenge as a family man?
Corey.
Corey is my adopted brother.
Well, there's two things. He was more Indian. The fetal alcohol was a huge problem. It wasn't Corey's fault, but it was something he was born with. And I really learned to appreciate that people of a different culture should be raised by those type of by the same culture.
Raised in the culture.
Or raised in the culture. Because he would be almost embarrassed when they started playing the Indian drums and dancing Indian dances. And I watched him, and I saw that in him, and I felt sad for him because it's such a rich culture. The Indian culture is really neat. I mean, they have a lot of really good things in their culture. And he could never quite grasp those, yet I could. For some reason, he got embarrassed about them. And I always felt bad about that, and I still do.
Well, on one hand, it's ironic because
Yes.
I feel like he's really embraced the culture now.
Yes.
You know, it's a
But it's
big deal being an Indian.
too late. I could have got him a member of that tribe when we first retired, and I was all ready to buy a lot up there and get him a full membership, and he decided he didn't want to move up there. So I didn't go ahead with it.
Well, I feel like he did a pretty good job including that culture and really showcasing that culture to him. I remember going to some Indian ceremonies. It's kind of weird me being there, a pale face and all. And you could tell that people thought differently about us. Maybe a little offended that we were there, but you know, I think it took a lot of guts to take Corey there and present him with his culture.
Well, but we wanted him to learn about it and understand and to embrace it, but it never happened.
But you know, I look back, it's amazing. I remember you having a motorcycle, and us going for motorcycle rides. I remember the camper, we went camping. Up when there were forest fires, that was pretty cool. Watching the helicopters scoop water up. Those are things I remember as a kid. Riding my bike, you riding your motorcycle. And then you had a boat for several years.
Yes.
That was pretty cool. That was a Bayliner, a 19-foot. We went to the San Juans.
It was a 20-footer.
A 20-foot, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a yacht.
It's a yacht.
I think
It
it's
had
gotta
a
be
cuddy
30 feet.
cabin and inboard, outboard. It was a really nice boat.
The trip I'll never forget is to the San Juan Islands.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the first time we camped on the boat.
It was really neat.
That was awesome. You know, we anchored and slept. We dinghied in.
Yeah.
One place we actually stayed on the dock so we could sleep in a hotel.
Yeah.
Go swimming in the pool. Which island was that? Do you remember?
It was Orcas
It
Island.
was Orcas, yeah, the biggest one.
It was on the far side. It was on the Canadian side of Orcas Island.
Hmm.
It was still in the USA, but it was on the
It was on the
Canadian
far
side.
side, yeah. So it wasn't in that horseshoe. I mean, remember being in the horseshoe, and
That was on the south side of the same island.
right, and we anchored the boat.
Yeah.
Man, I remember going out with Uncle Dick.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And I used to love to go out on the front.
Yeah.
But that day the waves were so high, we could see Seattle, and then we couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, what gave you the confidence to go out in that?
Yeah.
Did you do boating before that?
Did I what?
Did you do boating before that? I mean, I was.
Oh yeah, I always did. I had friends with boats, and we'd go out all the
Oh,
time.
you had the pink boat a long time ago.
I had that pink boat. It was 14 foot that we water skied with. That was a fun little boat. It had a 45 horsepower Mercury engine on it. But it was a pink boat, and I hauled it with a blue station wagon, a light blue station wagon. Light blue station wagon
Pink boat.
pulling a pink boat, and it was pink.
That's funny. I'm trying to think, but after that, you didn't get any more toys.
No.
You sold them all. How come?
Well, I got the boat because I thought it was a family activity. And then the family kind of drifted away from it. So I couldn't justify just keeping it for myself.
Well, I always enjoyed it.
So I got rid of it.
Yeah.
And we really enjoyed our retirement in Arizona. It's really worked out good for us.
So you're from Seattle, born and raised. You spent your whole working life there.
Yeah.
Why'd you move to Tucson area, Saddlebrook?
Well, weather for Maine, for the one, cost of living for two. Cost of living down here is probably close to 20% cheaper than Seattle, which is huge on a retirement income. We live very good down here.
You think that's still the case?
But
You think it's still the case? 20
oh,
some odd
absolutely,
years
if
later?
not any more.
Oh, really?
It might be higher than 20% now.
I didn't even think about that. Thought it might be catching up.
Nope, not at all. We have a state income tax here, but it's not very high. It's like about 3% of what you pay the feds. Probably less than that because they don't tax Social Security down here like the feds do.
Oh, really? Wow. That's interesting.
In comparison, income tax in California is about 13–14%,
Yeah, it's pretty high.
really high. Plus, our property tax it's about 1/2 of what we'd pay up north. So there's a lot of things cheaper down here.
So in your life, you started off as a barber. Is that true? Well, a paper
True.
boy and then a barber. And then what caused you to go from barber to Boeing, I guess it would be?
Well, I started out as a barber to work my way through school, through college.
You couldn't cut it.
I couldn't cut college because,
No, I mean, you couldn't cut it barbering.
well, I cut at barbering. I was doing good as a barber. I was making good money, but at school, I did not get good grades. I played too much. I was working about 30 hours a week, but I played too much. I didn't study, and I really didn't know how to study. I found out when I got to college. And then I was trying to join a frat, which was a huge mistake.
Oh, yeah,
because that took away hours from everything, and plus it was costly. It was expensive. But my barbering money paid for all that. But I should have never done that one. But the president of the frat one time took me aside and said, "Michael, you're not cutting it here. I'd suggest you volunteer for the draft." And this was during Korea,
No, wow.
just the tail end of it. So I did that, and went in the Army for 2 years, and that helped mature me quite a bit. When I came out of the Army, I went back to barbering for a whole year. I did nothing but cut hair. Was making pretty good money doing that. But then I noticed at Boeing, you could make a little bit more money. The stress wasn't quite there. I was trying to get a life insurance policy for Carol and I found out that barbering was one of the highest risk jobs in the world.
Like mortality rate or something?
It was just as high as a high steel worker.
Wow.
Because
You're on your feet.
you're not getting any exercise. You've got a lot of pressure all the time. You're only taking small steps. Your arms are always over your head. So it's just actuarially, barbers don't live as long.
Wow.
So I thought, I think I might want to change professions here. So then I was looking at Boeing, and I went down there and applied and started out working in a warehouse at Boeing, making more money than I was barbering.
That must have felt good.
And actually, it was actually a lot easier work. It didn't have the stress, and I progressively moved up into supervision and then upper management at Boeing, and made a pretty good career there.
So what did you think about Carrie following in your footsteps and becoming a barber/beautician? Did you think that was a good thing or a bad thing since you had left
Well, I wasn't in favor of it at first, but then I was, because I wanted her to have some type of a trade or profession that she didn't have to depend on other people to make a living, that she could do it on her own and never have to depend on some guy to do everything for her, and that she could be an independent person.
Yeah.
And so I thought at least that gives her that trade, and whether she sticks with it or not, it didn't matter, because if she went back, I wanted her to go to college, but that isn't what she wanted to do, so it just didn't work out that way. At the time, it wasn't what she wanted to do.
Yeah, I think it's been good for her.
It's been a good profession for her.
And she's very
enjoyed
social,
it, and
yeah.
she's really good at it.
Yeah, she is. So how do you get into industrial engineering?
Well, I was in a manufacturing engineering field called facilities expedite. What I would do is make sure parts got completed on time for shipment to our customers for airplane repairs. So I was kind of a facilitator, making sure the parts would get through the shops, make sure they'd get into shipping, and make sure they were packaged and shipped. So that was kind of my assignment then. And then a job opening in that same organization came up to be a schedule planner, and I applied for that, and I got that. And then that schedule planning organization was moved into the industrial engineering group. And when it moved into the industrial engineering group, I then became an industrial engineer. One of my assignments was unit schedules. I was a supervisor of that group. And we had 14 people working 7 days a week on overtime, putting out unit schedules. And I was able to design the workload so that we went from 14 to 7 and no overtime. And instead of taking 6 weeks to get out a set of schedules, it only took us 2 weeks. So we were getting the schedules out on time. We cut our distribution down by 1/3. We were getting schedules out on time and almost zero overtime. The boss took notice of it. They put me into a executive management potential program where my bosses had to move me every year to a different discipline, like 1 year in finance, 1 year in manufacturing engineering, 1 year in engineering group, et cetera, et cetera. So I was getting moved every year to bring me up, and plus sending me to different schools at different universities, 1 week, 2 week summer schools. So I was very fortunate. Boeing really likes to train their supervision and their managers.
What about my career as an engineer? What do you think about that?
Well, you know, I'd really hoped that you could have followed through and became a full-time pilot. I knew that was what you really wanted to do. But at the same time, I always liked electrical engineering. I always liked electrical things. And I just thought you'd be really good at that. And that was at the time, a better profession to go into than, say, aeronautics engineering. Because aeronautics engineering is more design, and electrical that's what everything is applied to in running things now, is electric and design of circuits and so forth. So I just thought that was a better field for you, and you decided that on your own, that's what you wanted to do, and I think it's worked out well for you. You're really good at that, and Well, you would have been good at aeronautical engineering too, because you're good. You've got artistic skills. You can draw good, and you can take your ideas and put them on paper.
Yeah, and I could have followed the flying route. But I got a flavor of that early on in my career, and those pilots were not happy. They were not happy, and they were all divorced.
Oh, yeah.
They were all on their second or third wife. They were always away from home. And so that's the main reason I didn't pursue it. Always had a heart and a passion for it, but when I look back, I'm doing a lot better off than some of my pilot friends. A lot happier.
And you've got to fly a lot.
Yeah, and I still get to fly a lot. Got my own plane. So, I can do that in my retirement. I was actually thinking I could retire and then go work for a commuter if I really got the itch like Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
You need a break?
Yes.
I'm about halfway through my walk. I'm at the furthest point. There is no shortcut back. And I'm wondering if I'm going to beat this storm home. It's pretty windy up here on the hill. I might get wet. That'll cool me off. It's really windy right now. And sand in my eyes. It's like getting sand blasted. It's starting to rain. I'm really starting to question my judgment. I love it. Have a great time. This wind is really sweet relief after 108-degree days down here. I can see the rain in the distance. I can barely see the Catalina Mountains. This is going to be close. That is what I'm trying to beat. A great big pulsing storm. It's bearing down on me. Lightning. Got it. All of a sudden, I'm not very comfortable being where I am. Here comes the rain. I'm a block away, and it's starting to really pelt down those big, blotchy drops. When they hit you, they just explode all over. You can hear it. Start smelling the concrete, that heat dissipate. That's cool. Smell the pavement. It is really starting to come down now. I can see the old palm tree house up there. Ooh, back's getting a little wet. But we made it to the palm tree house just before total onslaught. Lightning in the backyard. Close call. It's my family. They're not worried at all about me.
Not at all.
just missed a real cool lightning flash. Woo! Well, it's about an hour after my walk. Took a little while for the storm to get here in full bloom. But here it is. A double rainbows. We had sunshine and lightning, rain, wind, of course. Absolutely stunning out here. Glad I made it home though. What's that?
That's my toilet.
You know, and that's something too. You know, what advice would you give somebody with this disease? You know, how do you get the hope and the strength to just keep going?
Well, you never want to lose hope, for one. Regardless of what's going on in your life, never lose hope and never lose faith. And that's the beauty about being a Christian. You can keep your faith, and if you're a true believer, you can be happy in your life, and you can be happy for other people. And that's the way life should be.
So before getting up, my dad checks his O2 and his pulse.
Mm-hmm.